What's up, everybody? Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is over, and there's a new age coming to Hell's Kitchen. Before I dive into my breakdown, I'd appreciate it greatly if you subscribe to the channel. It's a huge help, so thank you. Now let's get into the finale. We got into this final episode as Karen daydreamed about being with Matt at their restaurant that they've been having dates at and going to since back in the Netflix days, that Pana 2 Indian restaurant. And it was just like the episode where Fisk lost Vanessa. It opened with his dream of what they could have and closed with that dream fading away. And it was the same. Obviously, Matt survived, but nothing will ever be the same for him and Miss Page, not after his Obi-Wan Kenobi playbook. As Jessica patches him up, he knows what Fisk wants, but he's going to spring the trap. And speaking of Mr. Mayor, I wanted to make sure that I didn't skip Buck checking in with him here because I think the loss of Daniel influenced his outbursts later more than we imagine. Buck has been a great helper. We've seen it in Born Again, and they essentially added him to every scene you want from the Netflix show with those flashbacks of him and Wesley and Fisk, of course, but Daniel, he was the chosen mentee. All he had to do was prove that he was bought in, but instead, he proved that he had a soul, something that's lacking these days with Vanessa gone, and he's ready to break his deal with Matt. She was a bargaining piece for him, and now the Kingpin has nothing to lose. With that being said, when Heather was on the stand during Karen's trial, I felt like both her and Kirsten McDuffie realized that Matt was Daredevil before the whole I am Daredevil moment. Heather would have to be, blinded by her past relationship with Matt if she didn't realize as she laid out exactly what he was with her. Also, finding out that he was a vigilante is definitely a factor in pushing her over the edge and into that Muse pool for season 3. I think that's going to be the best of Heather so far in Born Again. But with Kirsten, she gave Matt that look as his ex described him. It seemed like she had a sense in the back half of this season. She just knew for sure in this moment. Regardless, the mayor was the next man to take the stand, and this is where the episode really got going. We heard him say, "When I was a boy, I was taught to find the biggest man and take him down." That was him talking, kind of making a nice version of his origin story. He's talking about his father's abuse to him and his mother, leading him to take that hammer and fix the problem. It's always great hearing Vincent D'Onofrio drop that line, "When I was a boy," and the dynamic duo, him and Charlie Cox, were putting on a clinic during the trial. Wilson Bethel found a way to get in on the fun too. The AVTF had a sniper set up across from the courthouse with a fake bullseye to take the shot and the fall. The real bullseye found out about this though, and I think it was Mr. Charles who told him about it based on that scene at the end of this finale. But Dex, he was not happy with the poser, and he set up a shot to spoil the Kingpin's plans one more time. At first, I thought the shooter was going to hit Fisk, like the fake bullseye was going to hit Fisk, because he still thought he was in control at this point, and this was the perfect move for his controlled chaos. However, that illusion faded away real fast when the video testimony of the first mate from the Northern Star is brought in as evidence. That was the guy from the ship who Buck took out. I believe he did that during the swordsman trial. Like he was off doing that and the trial was going on, and then they buried him and Daniel did in the woods. But that was just the first move from the defense from Matt and Kirsten as Jessica Jones made her way into the courtroom with the governor. Matt beat Fisk to his punch and revealed his secret life to the world. He gets his I am Iron Man moment in this season, and this could set up an interesting storyline for the future. There's been a theory going around that Danny Rand is going to take up the horns in the next season of Born Again, and not only do I agree with that, but I think this tells us why, and Brand New Day tells us even more. This is just speculation. I don't know anything other than the fact that Danny is back. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. We've seen it, so I think that the big mid-season moment in season 3 is going to be the defenders getting Matt out of prison to help with the threat that emerges, a threat that I believe is going to be the Hand, and they're going to be looking for a new Fist of the Beast. That's why they're going to be at the prison in Brand New Day. They're looking for Matt in New York, and that's going to bleed into Born Again Season 3. Like I said, I think it's possible because, they're not going the route of, oh, Doctor Strange, make you forget, like they did in No Way Home, or even like when Matt's identity has been exposed in the comics, and the Purple Children, the children of Kilgrave, make the public forget. I think this is going to sort of be a thing where Danny takes on the cowl because that gives them enough to get Matt out of jail, but it isn't going to be like a, oh, we're disproving. It's just that they want the public to be making up their own mind. I guess the best way to put it is that they want to just kind of overload people with information, and then some people will think it's Matt Murdock. Some people will be like, oh no, Daredevil was around when Matt Murdock was in jail, so it's just going to be a whole thing. But getting back on track, Matt's final move worked, and the trial's dismissed for the time being. That brought us to the moment that, on top of the loss in the courtroom, guaranteed that Kingpin had lost control of his city and his empire. Bullseye hit Buck, the wannabe Bullseye, and add this to the list of things that sent Heather over the edge. It had that effect on both her and the mayor. Like I said, this is where he kind of accepts that he's backed into a corner and that he's ready to forgo the controlled chaos plan. Matt rallied his troops, and Fisk, he tries to rally his. There's no doubt about who is more successful. The people, they came out in numbers for the man without fear, and his move to unmask himself inspired BB to do the same in her final Mayor Kingpin video, although I'm not so sure if that was totally necessary, because the protesters, they all have masks on, and Daredevil, he puts his Daredevil mask back on for the final showdown, even if it's off for good. I guess I kind of just overlooked this at first because I was busy laughing at Jessica's trick-or-treat bit. It was so good seeing that motherhood hasn't changed her. She's still hating on costumes and boozing and kicking ass, of course. Can't forget that one. But on the outside of the courthouse, the redemption of Cole North began, and I don't even know where to start with this one. There was a time I didn't think they were gonna even try to redeem him. Angela comes in, though, asking about if he knows about Hector, her uncle, and I guess this is confirmation that he was the agent, not Powell, who took out the original White Tiger. Basically, what they're doing is taking his original origin story, mistaking a kid's phone for a gun, and never living that down, to blindly following orders from Powell and feeling bad when he finds out the dirty laundry behind those orders. It's not working for me. I wish I cared. I do. It's just too late, and honestly, it's a poor adaptation. That was the only true issue I had with the finale, though, and if you've been around the channel, you know that I haven't liked him in much of Born Again, but the chaos ensued as the two being affected the most by Vanessa's death let their darker halves take complete and total control. I told you guys that the Hawk was going to be Heather's first victim as Muse, and I know she didn't, technically have the mask on in this scene, but that is who hit this bastard in the throat, no doubt about it. Then, of course, the other is Fisk, but it's Kingpin here, and it's 100% Kingpin. That boo and descending the protesters soaring into the wall has to be the best moment from Vincent D'Onofrio in this show, in Echo, the Netflix one, Hawkeye, any appearance. It was better than the car door. It was better than any of the Fisk prison stuff, better than his moment with Matt in front of the rabbit in a snowstorm. I don't have words to describe how sick this hallway scene was. He stole the show from the heroes who got their own too. In that one, Daredevil and Jessica were making their way through the AVTF agents, and they got some help from Angela Del Toro. I really liked how they styled her action to fit the White Tiger mantle here in season 2. We didn't, to be fair, we didn't get to see a ton of it, so it was easy for them to do, but she made her entrance here by hunting up the wall, and back in episode 3 or so, when they freed those Red Hook prisoners, she slashed the tires like a tiger would with its claw. I hope she gets a suit upgrade in season 3 and more opportunities to show off this action. But either way, the two sides met in the middle, and Matt's morals shine through the darkness. The action in this part wasn't quite as smooth, but I'll be damned if I didn't love the boss baby coming out again. Fisk really believes that he's the hero. I think that's why he, even agrees to this deal to rid the city of their beef. He found a way to tell himself in those moments that he took to think about Matt's offer that he's the hero of the day, but I say the fight wasn't quite as good because it wasn't the best shot of Daredevil's grappling, and we don't really see Fisk doing much fighting. They just kind of pile on, and also it felt like they just didn't know how to do Jessica's jump, which is weird because Benson and Moorhead, they did Moon Knight. It was still a good scene. It just could have been better. Finally, we saw where the crew landed heading into season 3, and it gave us a decent picture of what's ahead for the street level of the MCU. I'll start with the main couple, Matt and Karen, who got got their actual scene, not the dream, at the Panda 2 restaurant. They went back to a place that, they shared before the world knew that he was Daredevil, a place that they shared when Foggy Nelson was still around. It's a cornerstone of their past, and it's maybe the last place where they're Matt Murdock and Karen Page, not Daredevil and Karen Page, as he's taken away by the NYPD. On the other hand, Fisk did not go to jail, and I know that seems crazy, but you gotta get inside Matt's mind. He knows that the government is offering Fisk a deal to leave the city and his citizenship behind. He's also sent this man away and watched him just come back stronger every single time, so he lets him go to his island. He knows that without Vanessa at his side, that's no vacation. It's not, some peaceful retirement. That's purgatory for Wilson without his girl, and I don't think we're going to see much of him in season 3. I bet he sneaks back into the city at the end to set up season 4, or even in a great world, Spidey 5 with Daredevil, but that's just my wishful thinking. Sticking with the finale, Luke Cage made his return before stepping back in a bigger role next season, but no Uncle Danny in sight this time. I guess the deal with Finn wasn't done in time for a cameo. He's back for good though, and that's because Mr. Charles has a new weapon that's far more willing to do dirty work. Bullseye. Also, the flight attendant calls him Mr. Robinson on that flight. I doubt that's his real name still. It feels like another fake one, and it doesn't even matter. What does matter is that this pushes Bullseye one step closer to branching off into the wider MCU with the Thunderbolts. I could see a Bullseye special going along with season 3, like next week's Punisher special is going along with season 2. But anyways, we've got one last thing as Ellison made his return. This was Karen and Ben Urich's boss from the Netflix show. Now he's back to welcome BB to the bulletin, and she got her Uncle Ben's office to start doing official work. Well, maybe some official work, and maybe some work that, helps her friend Karen help her friends, the Defenders. What I'm getting at there is it goes back to my theory about them getting Matt out of prison. I see BB covering Danny as Daredevil for the gang to get the message out to the public. There's no way they leave him in there for too long. Cole North is the only ally, and that's going to be terrible. They're going to force that duo and it's not forced in the comics. It's great in the comics, but it's going to be forced in Born Again Season 3 in that prison. It's probably going to be how we get a crazy fight with those two versus the other AVTF. I guarantee it. But even with the few issues I had, I thought this was an amazing finale. The way the agreement went down, like the scene itself on the stairs, not where the devil and the kingpin land, isn't how I would draw it up, but I'm a dumbass and it works thanks to Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio. I think that's going to be good to have, kind of a breather from their beef. We know those two can just pick it up like they never left, and I think Matt's time in prison is going to be some of the best Daredevil media that we've ever seen as they draw inspiration from the Cell Block D comic and mix in some new problems to the world of Hell's Kitchen. It's looking good. And so that's going to do it for my final breakdown of Born Again Season 2. Let me know what you guys thought about this finale and the season as a whole down in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video. Smash that like button on your way out and make sure you have a great day.